They say silence is nothing. But what if silence is everything? There once lived a monk who spoke only once in his entire life, not out of fear, not because he had nothing to say, but because he was listening to something deeper than words. And when he finally spoke, his single sentence changed the lives of everyone who heard it. In the misty mountains of Japan, where clouds kissed the earth, stood an ancient monastery built on stone and stillness. Among the monks, there was a boy named Rio, curious, restless. He asked endless questions. Why do we stay silent? Why not teach the world through words? The master smiled and said, because truth is not something you speak, it's something you become. And from that day, Ryo took a vow of silence. Days turned into years. The boy who once spoke endlessly now watched. The sunrise over frozen ponds, the wind weaving through bamboo, the sound of raindrops echoing like thoughts of the earth. While others sought enlightenment in scriptures, Ryo found it in the sound between two breaths. Villagers often came to see him. Some mocked him. Are you a monk or a statue? Others pitied him. What kind of life is this, without speech? But Ryo smiled, bowed, and returned to silence. Because he had learned something they hadn't. When the mind grows quiet, life itself begins to speak. As the years passed, people began to notice something strange. Birds would land beside him without fear. Children would stop crying near him. Even the restless wind seemed to calm when he meditated. It was as if his silence had become a voice, one that only hearts could hear. One winter morning, on his 100th birthday, the monks gathered around his hut. Snow covered the mountain in white silence, and they asked, Master Ryo, after all these years of silence, what truth have you found? For a moment, nothing, only the sound of wind and snow. Then Ryo slowly opened his eyes. He smiled and whispered a single word, everything. Then he closed his eyes again and never spoke another. The monks wept softly, not from sadness, but from understanding. They realized that in his silence, he had taught them the greatest lesson, that words are only shadows of truth. Real wisdom doesn't shout, it listens. Real peace doesn't argue, it understands. Ryo's silence lived on, in the wind that passed through the mountains, in the quiet prayers of the monks, and in every soul that learned to be still. In a world that never stops talking, silence has become the rarest sound. But sometimes the answers we seek aren't in noise, they're hidden in stillness. So tonight, try sitting quietly for 1 minute. No music, no scrolling, just you and your breath. You might be surprised by what silence has been trying to tell you all along. If this story touched your heart, save it, share it, and remind someone that sometimes the loudest soul is the one that knows when to stay silent.